Okay, folks, good afternoon. Welcome. My name's Joe Fleming, and I'm going to start off the training session this afternoon and talk about why we're here. The university received a terrific gift from Dan and Jeff McCarthy to develop a university-wide mentoring program. And you'll see as we go along today that there has been mentoring taking place at the university. Our group, the Health Science Entrepreneurs, has been mentoring here since 2010, and IDEA has come along at about the same time with their mentoring program. So there's a lot going on here at the university which you'll learn about, but the point I think we want to make is that many of us here, and certainly the three of us who will be helping you this afternoon, really enjoy what we're doing. It's been, it's the cliche is you get more out of it than you put in, but the fact is we do get more out of it. We've met some wonderful people, both as mentors and as ventures, and we feel that we've made a real difference and enjoy very much what we do, and we hope that you'll come along with us in the same light. You'll learn how it works. You'll understand the process, roles, and the expectations, because we do in fact have expectations. Perhaps you'll join a mentoring team, which Lauren can help us with, and if you tell us what you're interested in, we have venture teams developing every month. You could become a specialty mentor, and that's a mentoring light commitment where you don't have to commit to a team, but you can bring your expertise to parachute in and help one of our young mentors. Or you can come and observe to find out more what it's about. We'd love to have you come and join us in a mentoring session. So we're an open book, and we'd love to show you what and how we do it. Today, your speakers will be, well, first of all, I'm Joe Fleming, Health Science Entrepreneurs. We founded our program 10 years ago. And we've been running seminars here on entrepreneurism for the students in the health sciences, or students interested in health science entrepreneurship. They come from all over the university. Since 2005, we started a mentoring program, as I said, in 2010. We've had over 40 ventures come through. And what's happened at the university is there's been a real bubbling up of entrepreneurship that I think we're part of, but there's a lot of us out there. There's an organic feeling here that I think if you work with us, you'll feel it. What I'd like to do, my partners in crime today will be Chris Ford, who will introduce himself in a moment, and Roy Miller, my other partner in crime. And we're very active in our health science mentoring program. And all of us have started companies. All of us have started some of it, and even sold some of them have even been successful. So we've been there and done it, and we're here to get back to the university. So we'd like to make this, please stop us anytime for questions. We'd like to make it interactive. With that in mind, I thought we'd go around the room and just introduce ourselves and tell you anything you'd like to say about the connection. Dan, no more room, I'm sorry. Everybody, Professor Dan McCarthy, who made all this possible, with his partner in crime, Jeff McCarthy. Chris?
Yeah. So no food for Dan. You don't have to stand up, but I'm
bring out the vodka.
So I'm Chris Ford. I'm a 73 graduate of Moore Kim Business School, we used to call it. And I turned my co-op job into a career in the dialysis services industry. And I worked for the 800-pound gorilla for 25 years. Then got merged out of my job, and some colleagues and myself co-founded American Renal Associates, which is it's about the 4th or 5th largest outpatient dialysis provider in the U.S. right now. And I actually retired 2 years ago, but even before I retired, I came back to work with Joe with the Health Science Entrepreneurs, mentoring and being involved with the board. So, and I just tell you, I'm on about 4 or 5 mentoring teams. I'm just going to throw that out here right now. And I tell you, I'll talk about it a little bit more, but it's really a very rewarding experience, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you get into it and you enjoy it like I do. Ann?
Hi, I'm Ann Portman. I'm an '86 grad in the College of Nursing, and I've spent the last 25 years consulting with various entrepreneurs, startups, level companies in healthcare services. I hold a number of board-level positions with private portfolio companies for a PE firm I work with in Boston, and I'm very excited to be here. This is my first training, and I look forward to working with you all.
I'm Jim Gordon, another 73 graduate of Moore McKim, formerly College of Business. And I worked at Northeastern from 1978 to 84. That's how I got to know Dan McCarthy. We used to run together a few years back. And I got my MBA while I was here. I graduated in 84, and then went out to be an entrepreneur myself. I started a business. It's now a small company, about 110 employees. We outsource accounting services, do accounting consulting between New York City and the Northeast. And so I got involved with the IDEA program, largely from Dan McCarthy introducing me to Dan Gregory. And that's been very rewarding for the last few years. And I'm looking forward to participating in the mentor program.
Thank you, Jim. Pam?
I'm Pam Stroud. I got my MBA in '89, and Professor McCarthy with business strategy. I remember it well.
I think you guys are plants.
And Roy Miller sort of brought me into this. I worked with him back when Polaroid was Polaroid. Ever since then, I've done everything from worked at Whole Foods. I've done consulting for ACFA's medical group. Right now, I'm a business director for a membership association focusing on forecasting, business forecasting, economic forecasting, all that. So this is something completely new for me, so I'm excited to find out what it's about.
Roy?
I'm Roy Miller. I'm on the program here today. I'm an engineering grad of Northeastern, and I graduated when the space race was just firing up. So when I went to the Ohio State University and worked on the space program, and subsequently became an entrepreneur. And about 4 years ago, during one of my reinventions, I found Joe and the HSC program, and I've been thriving on that. I just started another reinvention, which is to found a new company, so I'm doing it again. More to come.
Thank you, Roy. Court, want to start with you?
Sure. I'm Court Davies. I'm a 2001 engineering grad. I went out to San Diego about 11 years ago after my co-op, and I started a real estate investment firm, and we built houses. We built houses in Cabo San Lucas and Rancho Santa Fe, Del Mar. Went really well until the real estate crash, and then I had to reinvent myself. My brother and I started a little company called Take Lessons. It went from about 12 employees to about 300 in over probably about 4 years. They still exist. I left the company about 6 years ago. They're actually probably going to get bought by Amazon this year. So that's pretty cool. What they do is they pair music instructors with students. It's like a brokering kind of program online. And I became a digital marketing consultant from there. Now I own an agency in Charlestown called Boston Interactive.
Thank you, Court. Court's participating on our steering committee, helping us out. Scott?
Hi, Scott Israel, Master of Science, EE in 1982. In the past 30-odd years, I've done about 6 startup companies, including the last one is my own for the last 15 years. I figured I'd get involved with this to see if I can give some of my lessons, both positive and negative, in starting some of these companies back to people so they won't make the same mistakes I did.
Scott's already on a mentoring team. Bill?
Hi, good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Mayo. I'm an 88 computer science grad and a 94 MBA grad. Still trying to remember Dan if we cross paths then. Each time I see him, I'm trying to sort that out. I come with a very different background, almost no entrepreneurship background. I've been working with the College of Computer Science for a while in a way to re-engage with the university. and they ended up directing me this way. But my experience was 20-odd years. Took my co-op job into Gillette for 20-odd years, and when Procter & Gamble said, why don't you go to Cincinnati, I said, no, thank you. And I spent the last 5 years in biotech or something.
Bill is also helping us on our steering committee. Bob?
Hi, I'm Bob Tabor. I've got an MBA, but it's not from Northeastern.
All right, Bob, sit down.
Good news. I run CEO of several companies in high tech. I was chair of the Technology Executive Roundtable, Massachusetts. I'm on the board of the Mass Software Council. I'd like to share my experiences with some of these startups and see if we can help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Bob also, by the way, runs a not-for-profit that has done some wonderful things in India, but he's very modest.
My name is Saul Curlat. Did my undergraduate engineering at Georgia Tech, but I did a master's in engineering management here at Northeastern, 6 years of night school while I was working for a company called Tech Ops. Then went out and started my own company called Iconics. We specialize in digital imaging. Built a successful company. Ended up selling it to Eastman Kodak. And I've just been doing a little private investing since then. And worked with a number of groups here at Northeastern. Looking forward to seeing what the mentoring program is all about.
Thank you, sir. Well,
My name is Ruth Ann Fitzgerald, and I'm Mr. Curlet's assistant. And I have no entrepreneurship experience.
now, did you get lunch? I don't know, you weren't supposed to get lunch.
I got it fast.
Yes.
Hi, my name is David Devati, and I'm a 2005 high-tech MBA graduate. And as you can see, I'm a middle-aged guy, so I did this very late in life. At times when my friends and I were having a midlife crisis, they bought Corvettes. So I'm a former student of Dan, and I was so inspired by what I learned, I went out and started my own company. This was 10 years ago. And today we have 500,000 customers worldwide. And I'm excited about entrepreneurship and adventures, and I'm really looking forward to helping young people, especially young people, explore what is there and share my experiences with them. And hopefully, possibly help guide them a little bit. Because as you all know, it's a very involved and risky business.
Thank you, that's terrific. I hope you feel that way at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Eliza?
Okay, hi there. I'm Eliza Scott, and I am the program assistant for the Health Sciences Entrepreneurs.
Eliza, along with Julie, you'll hear from in a minute, help us. Lauren, Julie, and Eliza are the backbone of a lot of what goes on around here. They would have parked your car for you.
I'm Tony Duritis.
I'm
chair of the music department at Northeastern, but I'm also jointly appointed in the Northeastern School of Business and the Innovation Entrepreneurship Group. Because my claim to fame is I also did my MBA here at Northeastern in 2002, and one of my final projects there eventually led to some interest in investment from John Cullinane, and also directly ended up bringing Dan Gregory here to Northeastern. So that's really what I'm best known for. Glad to be here.
So I'm Dan Gregory, and I'm Tony Doritas' #1 fan. I spent 30 years, is that right? 30 years, yeah, 30 years doing increasingly entrepreneurial things in the publishing and internet space, and actually bumped into Tony, and he had a project he was working on. I helped him. They started a college called the School of Technological Entrepreneurship, and all of a sudden I've spent almost 10 years in academia. I'm a faculty advisor for IDEA, which started, as Joe said, in 2010, and now, along with Dan McCarthy and Mark Meyer, am the co-director of something called the Center for Entrepreneurship Education, the mission of which is to bring resources to entrepreneurs across the college, across the university. We are very proud of the Venture Mentoring Network, very grateful to Dan and Jeff for their contribution. But the important thing is that anybody with an entrepreneurial itch and a venture that's moving forward can take advantage of the service being offered by Venture Mentoring Network. thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Dan.
Hi, I'm Kevin Scanlon. I just arrived from California 3 months ago because I missed the snow. I have a PhD in molecular biology and I was trained in cancer research at Yale. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. I ran the cancer program for Sharon AG out of Berlin for about 5 years. I've been in the investment community in Los Angeles for 10 years. On the executive committee of the TCA and chairman of Pasadena Angels for 10 years. I've done 4 startup biotech companies, and I taught at UCLA in the business school of biotech. And so you may ask, what's my connection to Northeastern? Absolutely nothing, except for my wife is the assistant treasurer now. That's why I'm here. I left California.
Thank you, Kevin.
Welcome, welcome, yeah.
That's bigger than my connection, I'll tell you.
Lauren, why don't you?
I'm Lauren Double. I did my undergrad in the DeMoor McKim School of Business, and in 3 months I'll be a double Husky when I get my MBA from the DeMoor McKim School of Business also. I'm the program manager for the Venture Mentoring Network. I work with Dan and Jeff in the Center for Entrepreneurship Education. So I'm here to help all of you mentor, prepare you with ventures and anything you need, and I had a lot of help from Eliza and Julie. So great.
Thank you, Lauren.
I am Dan McCarthy, and I'm not an alum, but I've spent more time here at Northeastern than anybody else in the room, I suspect, and probably over 40 years on the faculty. And in earlier days, I left Northeastern when I started a couple of small, well then high-tech companies, took them public, and had a great ride. Didn't make a lot of money, but had great experiences, and came back to Northeastern because it was a big turnaround at that time for me, and always has been. So my love here is, I write in the international business area, but I spend all my time in the entrepreneurship, venture mentoring and such, and Jeff McCarthy and myself, thanks for everybody for being here.
Dan, thank you so much.
Excuse me, I'm Brian LeClaire. I'm a graduate of 76. It's a long time ago. I started my career with Arthur Anderson, and then I went through, as many of you guys, early technology, the mini computer industry, working at Prime Computer, then working at Compaq. I've been a CFO of public companies, private companies. I've done 2 startups in the dot-com era. I did my own startup using a cloud-based financial accounting, total paperless environment. And I started my career in public accounting, and I'm ending my career in public accounting. I'm with a company, and this is kind of a test. And I want to see the reaction. How many people here have heard of Clifton Larson Allen? Oh, a few have, okay, but most people haven't. And I've joined them recently to go through and help them on their outsourcing and cloud-based ventures. And the reason why I'm here is I went to school with Rich DeMoor and was chatting with him, and I said, what can I do to go through and help? He says, would you mind? You've got a lot of entrepreneurship experience. I've been a Bay Angels member down the Cape for a long time, and I said, hey, I enjoy doing this. I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome.
I'm Julie Norton. I'm the director of the Health Science Entrepreneurs Program, and I work in Bouvet Development Office. I've been working with Joe and Joe Fleming and Chris Ford for about 10 years. I've been part of this startup mentoring at Northeastern, which HSE was crowned, the place to go for mentoring. So now we're looking at bringing this across the university. I've probably sat in about 100 mentoring programs, sessions, phone calls, have a lot of experience. Have not started a company myself, but feel like I could. And I want to thank all of you for being here.
You're not leaving.
And as a resource to help with moving this forward.
Thank you, Julie.
Hi, I'm Veronica Kearney. I'm an MBA and Master's in Accounting grad from '92. I started my career at Pricewaterhouse.
Oh, good.
Good firm. And I spent about 2 years at Bose, and then 7 years ago, my friend and I co-founded a company called Jam Hub Corporation, which is, so we've been running it now for 7 years. We actually just closed a partial sale on Monday, yesterday, for our software business. In our company, we make a product for musicians, so I've studied a lot about take lessons, actually, and it allows bands to play through headphones, so you can have 4 bands set up in this room. So it's something which is great for musicians who are in apartments or condos, but also we have a lot of schools in 40 countries around the world using it in their music program so they can offer different types of music lessons to students.
Wow.
So, and I'm excited to get involved. I've been kind of on the periphery because I've been very
Yeah, we
busy
met
with
probably
it.
a year ago.
We have, yeah. I've been, just this is a large transaction we just closed, so I'm kind of looking for my next
Good.
involvement, so I'm excited, yeah. And I would love to get more women involved in kind of ventures.
You're now in charge of that. We also would like to get more women involved. So that's who we are. This is very helpful. Thanks, folks. You see on the bottom of the slide, Lauren and Julie's contact information, and Eliza goes along with Julie. The point I want to make is the mentoring process is 50% dedicated alumni and friends, and 50% support here at the university. And we've had terrific support at the university. Julie's been with us since the beginning, and Julie and Eliza late, and Lauren has dived in and done a wonderful job. So the university's on board. These are the folks who keep it going here at the university, and they're a vital part of what we do. Okay, today, you know the program is a result of Dan and Jeff's not here today, but Jeff is a terrific partner of Dan's in this venture. We're so happy to have Dan and Jeff with us in this venture. Our intent is to create a university-wide mentoring program so that anywhere in the university they can come to venture mentoring and find deep industry knowledge in their space and folks with startup experience. All of our programs to date have been folks like you who come and bring their wealth of experience and then bring a friend. So this is sort of a bring a friend venture. This is not, we don't run ads. We bring in the people that think that can help us and help our students and help our alumni and help our faculty. The network, the VMN network draws from the best practices of the health science entrepreneurs and IDEA. The two programs have bubbled up simultaneously throughout the university and have produced wonderful results in over 100 ventures, or well over 100 ventures through the last 5 years. You guys will have direct exposure to ventures on a regular basis. If something catches your fancy, we hope that you'll volunteer for a mentoring group. And we will use technology to expand the program, and as the world gets global, perhaps beyond the Boston area, which is certainly in the cards. This is the ecosystem at Northeastern. In the middle, we have the Venture Mentoring Network, and as Dan said earlier, we hope that this becomes the source, the place where folks at the university come for mentoring. But look at what's going on at Northeastern. There's over a dozen different entrepreneurial activities here, whether they be clubs with the undergraduates, whether they be social network ventures, whether they be the IDEA program, the Center for Research Innovation. So there's so much going on here. And I think the important thing to say here is that none of this came about because somebody put it in the strategic plan. This came about from people like you, people like us, who wanted to do it and wanted to give back. And that, I think, is the real value of this program and a key to its success. And we can bring our experience as a group to folks all over the university. And I got to tell you, we see a lot of, we interview a lot of potential ventures, and the work that's going on here is unbelievable, whether it's here at the university or whether it's our alumni that take and operate in their day jobs. It's wonderful, and we've got a great thing going. VMN Ventures. Where do they come from? Students, faculty, and alumni. IDEA has focused a lot on student ventures. Health Science Entrepreneurs is focused on alumni and faculty. We have a number of faculty coming to us with their Northeastern IP. We actually help them through the tech transfer process with the Center for Research Innovation and help them put companies together. And we've got a number of successful ventures that have come from faculty. And it's been great getting the young alumni back and have them come to us with their ideas. And we've had a number of rewarding cases of ventures, some of which have gone on to raise significant money in revenues and profits. There must be, if we're going to mentor someone, there should be one founder, one executive, or principal on the on the management team. So we mentor Northeastern-related folks. They must demonstrate commitment. Sometimes people come to us with an idea, and it's a dream. When we often send them off to further develop it, or one of our mentors will take them on to coach one-on-one to see if there is in fact any real depth there and commitment. Because we all work very hard at mentoring, we want to make sure it's coming the other way as well. And we want to make sure the ventures have developed to a level of maturity that they have formed an entity or are about to form an entity, they have their founding team together, and that they have a value proposition that for a successful business model. So we do qualify the folks who come to us. Okay, VMN mentors have a variety of it's terrific to hear that we have folks from a number of industries and backgrounds. That's what's going to make this program rich. Those of us many of us have experience with startups, obviously invaluable. Mentoring is open to Northeastern alumni and friends. So we're very happy to have friends of the university join us in our mentoring program as mentors. In fact, of our current group of mentors, a very significant piece, proportion, is in fact friends of the university. We're proactive and engaged. This is not something we take lightly. We believe in what we're doing. At the present time, we're committed to attend meetings here at the university. Folks do call in from time to time, and eventually with technology, the program will probably scale to a much larger, but we're at the stage now where we want to keep the meetings here at the university, but in a few months we may be rolling this out to other parts of the country. Fair to say, Dan? Fair to say. Committed to attend the meetings and complete the mentor training program. The mentors have direct exposure to all our ventures. You'll see everything we have. Our mentor assignments are driven by the needs of the venture and the challenges they're facing at the time. We do team mentoring. You'll see as we go along. Typically 2 or 3 mentors. We find that works very well. VMN will develop digital tools to connect us all and to allow virtual meetings. And we will expand through our own referrals and introductions that we all make. As I say, the best referral source we have are the folks in this room and folks like you. I'm going to turn it over to Roy. And Roy has been fabulous at helping us define what we're doing, improve what we're doing, because he was a rocket scientist.
Thank you, Joe. Let's see, for the next few minutes, first of all, I got to say, I'm really impressed by the people in attendance today. We've got quite a cross-section and a wealth of information sitting in this room. I'm going to, for the next few minutes, this is sort of the meat and potatoes of the mentoring. And I'm going to speak from the standpoint, very experiential, from my experiences over the past 4 years in the health science entrepreneurship side, and what we've learned, what we've progressed, and what we're bringing as to going forth. I'm the author of this graphic, so this is probably why I'll be speaking to it. Our role as mentors is really to shepherd our ventures through this continuum, through this development continuum. So they come to us with a concept, they come with intent, as Joe said, they make an application and they join our program and they join our effort. And they go through several stages. And the first stage is very, very loose, formative. When you're gaining your mentors, you're understanding where your customers might be, you're understanding your value proposition and so forth. And then at some point you sort of turn the corner where you say you're going to be for real and you're really getting quite serious. And then you mature the venture to the point where finally you'll be able to move forward.
And move forward might mean that you've got your own independent board of directors, that you've got sufficient funding, maybe you're off campus at that time, you've got some space, and it's time to let the baby go. So this is sort of the general flow of things. Now, not all ventures will be successful. And so we have people that will jump off, we have people that will fall off. And by jumping off, I mean they find out as they go along that they lack protection for their technologies, they lack advantages over their competition, they lack the funds needed to really pull it off. And try as they might, they say, we have to abort. They might also fall off. We've had ventures that come in and we've lacked agreement amongst the founders, and that has happened. They lacked interest. This is a long process and takes a while and a lot of courage and stamina, and often they lack the stamina, and it sort of drifts. We find that the meetings are a little less frequent, we kind of lose touch, and the intensity is gone. We call that falling off. I like the fact that Joe Fleming has schooled us that we're here to mentor the mentees, that we're here to create entrepreneurs. And if a given business does not become successful as a venture, it still can become an success because of the individuals that we've brought to a new level. Maybe their next venture, maybe what they'll bring to other ventures will be important. So it's a point that's worth noting. Let's look at some of the things that happen during these stages, because these are metrics that you will then, and your co-mentors will help administer. So in the early stages, a lot of it is getting the founders' agreement, incorporation, really understanding your intellectual property, whether it's university or something that's added beyond that, and really understanding where your process is going, get your meetings, get your mentors established, and get the gestalt, if you will, with what this venture is going to be, training elements, getting NDAs in place, and so forth. So it's a very, very formative phase. I might point out that on this chart, some of the things in green, today, currently, within HSE, we use a program called Podio to track the progress through this continuum. So we look at certain metrics. When did they get a founders agreement? When did they record these and graph them? This becomes a database that we're just beginning to start to mine. And over time, as we build that database, we'll be able to go back and slice and dice it and get a better understanding of what the average time is to get a founders agreement, what the average extent of IP is, and so forth. And that remains to be seen, how far we can take that. When a company moves into the stage 2, they're starting to get some of the things like competitive analysis, financial modeling, your business model, product plans, and initial pricing. Funding is an issue. Grants often, especially with university-based programs, are founding a staple to these ventures getting grounded. So there's a lot of formative activity, and you and we as mentors have a lot to do with the soundness of those plans and testing those plans and challenging them and helping to uncover some of the hidden features. As they move along, the customer orientation becomes even more important. You might have a prototype in place. You've refined various business plans. Funding, again, becomes important. Very important to develop a management team. We are just realizing, as our mentoring processes here at Northeastern become more mature, they also morph slightly. And one of the things we're really realizing now is the importance of some of the softer side of mentoring. Very simple things like does a mentee, are they sending out notes of appreciation after an important meeting? Some of the things like preparing them to give their elevator pitch and present their company in a succinct way. So this management team, softer side, is important. I'll also point out, while I'm still on the arrow, that it's not fixed in time, that we continue to innovate. If you go back 3-4 years, we're in the infancy. As we go along, we continue to innovate. For example, one of the innovations we're working with now come out of the National Science Foundation has a program called ICOR. Have anyone heard of ICOR here in the room? A couple of nods. So National Science Foundation is trying to get technology out of the universities and into the entrepreneurs' hands. And so they're sponsoring a program based on Lean Launchpad, which came from Stanford University. So the company develops a canvas and is really slicing and dicing the competitive advantage, the value proposition to the customer. Very intense program. We've had, what, 6 of our ventures have gone through that program. So they can not only go to the program, but we can still bring some of those concepts to them. So Joe points out that we continually innovate to make our processes better.
Can I just make a couple of points?
Sure.
I love the chart. One of the things that we want to be sure that the mentors understand is there are a lot of resources around campus that are available to help you accomplish these various things with your venture. So you're not on your own to create, financials for the ventures. You don't have to come up with logo designs for your venture. You don't have to do a lot of that kind of work. There are many resources that we will share with you on that front. The second thing is, Roy mentioned Podio, and one of the great things about the VMN has been the generous time that the Health Science Entrepreneurs team has given us to develop this into a university program. We say the best practices come from health science entrepreneurs and from IDEA. Truly, they come from health science entrepreneurs to a much greater extent. They've developed an excellent program. We are modeling what they've used Podio for with Salesforce, and we'll make that available to all the ventures within VMN. And that connects to a venture tracking system that allows the mentors to both input information into a system. So we're working on this technology piece because that will help scale all of this activity, because we have a lot of ventures that are coming forward. So I just wanted to make those two comments, and also to thank Health Science Entrepreneurs for bringing their well-developed protocols to us.
Good. Okay, moving next to the some of the task kind of activity. Let's talk about the mentoring process itself. We use a team approach, as Joe pointed out earlier on. And as part of this team approach, one mentor will typically morph into the team leader or the mentoring team leader, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The general role is to do these things here, to listen, to advise, to anticipate, and so forth. Mentoring is not about being an expert in that specific field. If a company is based on cryogenic instrumentation, it's not necessary to be a cryogenic expert to be a mentor for that. Our role is to give advice. And by the way, these people that come to us, they're not lacking in their skill sets. They're not lacking in their technologies that they bring. What they're lacking is in the experiences that we can bring to it. So that's why all of these facets are really the important. This is the bread and butter of being a mentor, to help provide these things. The difficulty that we find, or I'll personalize it, that I find, is to not do the work for the mentee. There's a strong temptation to sit in there and to write the business plan and to design a logo. And this is not our role. It's to steer and to form and to direct and to get them to the resources needed. The lead mentor, I mentioned a lead mentor, and we'll talk about it again. This is something, again, whether it's the chemistry, whether it's the type of product, the nature of the experiences, typically one will emerge, one of the mentors will emerge. It's not an assignment, it's sort of a self-regulating process. I happen to be lead member on one mentor on one organization. One of the obligations is to talk about the telephone call. Well, I'll mention it anyhow. So we have a lead mentor phone call once a month, Julie, every 6 weeks. And all the mentors for all the ventures, this is within HSE currently, will get on that call and be able to share some experiences. And occasionally there'll be someone will be on the phone and say, well, I know how to connect you with that. But even if there's not that connection, there's just a general grounding of how the mentoring takes place. I emphasize this because, as they say, you are not alone. There's, 20 people in this room. There's probably another 40 or 60 out there across the greater Boston area that are even as far as the West Coast, that are mentors along with you that have experience in that. And this is one of the ways of sharing and truly making a network out of the VMN. Next thing I'll talk about briefly is the mentoring specialist. Joe mentioned it. It's the one-time engagement, bringing specific expertise, collaborating with the team sort of brought in when needed. And these are typically, they can be in the areas of legal, finance, accounting, IP. Those are the more typical ones. However, they can be more ad hoc. So if there was a specific area, we can get resources involved and have specific one-time mentoring.
An example is the FDA approval process. Somebody was just looking for that. We had someone just come in and said, I can give 2 hours just on that.
Yeah, perfect.
That's its own.
Perfect, yeah, expertise. Yeah, they tend to be specialists. Whoa, I didn't expect that one. I thought there was another chart. Okay. I thought there was one on typical problems. You can just see. I guess there's not. Okay, we're going to go through now. This next. Okay, well let's start it going here. And so this what we're going to walk across from left to right at the various stages, kind of chronologically, follow what happens to a venture as they come into the program. There's an intake specialist. I'll call it an initial screen. We've used the word screening, and the screening is typically these specialists. Probably, if you're new to mentoring, you're probably not going to be one of these specialists. Over time, you see enough ventures, you could be asked to serve as an intake specialist. An incoming venture would then come and make a brief 10, 15-minute presentation and just kind of introduce themselves to the intake meeting. And there'd be some general questions, typically, what's your competition, do you have a patent position, and so forth. But there's the softer side. As Joe mentioned earlier, we're looking for, do you have the stuff? Do you really want to do this venture? Are you really serious, or are you just kicking the tires on this? So the intake meeting, it consists of that. I would say that out of 10 intake sessions, 6, maybe 7 are pretty straightforward and will lead to building a mentoring team. 2 or 3 of those sessions will lead to a request for more information. Go back and look at this a little more carefully. We had one of those just this past few weeks. Pinpoint it and give them some direction on how to get grounded a little better. Maybe 1 out of 10 will be to the point where we'll assign a mentor, and we call this today mentoring light, where it's not the full-blown mentoring program, but you go off and mentor and get these people ready or get this team ready. And we had a wonderful case where someone went off for a full year with some light guidance and came back and is now in the program in total. So there's, again, it's not one size fits all. There's some options here. This is the typical issues. Now, I point this out at this point because this isn't only at the intake, but as we go along. And it's not a 1 or a 0. So, for example, sales pitch, it's not that there's no sales pitch. They need refinement. So throughout that total continuum, you're going to find that all of these things are advanced. The financial plan gets better, the implementation plan gets better, and so forth. Some of them are go, no good. You either have a founder's agreement or you don't. But basically, it's a case of improving as the process continues. Some of these things, and we used to think totally in terms of the technology side. So is the financial plan sound? Things that are more technical in nature. But we're now starting to recognize, like this here, preparing for investor meetings. And I'll say this because as mentors, we're very nice people, and we're very kind people. And sometimes being kind doesn't always help the person to prepare for the tough challenges ahead. As a member of Boston Harbor Angels, and we have another Pasadena Angels, we see 10, 12, 15 deals a month, over 100 a year. How are you going to stand out against the other 99 when there's 100 up there? How are you going to stand out? And so that's an area that's rich, I believe, for improvement as we go on. Continuing the timeline, we have the early sessions. In the early sessions, there's a lot of getting to understand the personalities, the energy levels, and so forth. And at this time is when we will typically identify the lead mentor. That lead mentor will evolve during the early sessions. We also complete the selection process. Now, just a note on that is that typically when venture, it goes through the screening, a call will go out, and it'll be a wide broadcast. So you in this room will get to see, oh, there's a company working in this area with these people that want to do this, this venture. And so you have an opportunity to volunteer. It's not selected from you, but an opportunity to step forward and participate in a venture. So this is the selection process, the early lessons.
Just one thing, we removed one of the slides in our preparation, and we lost an important part of the program. We didn't think about it at the time. There will be, one of the things that we want is all the mentors to get to know one another as a large group. So we have bi-monthly lunches where a half a dozen ventures will present, ventures that haven't been engaged. So that's another form of input. There'll be the ongoing regular input, and there will be the lunches that all mentors will be invited to. We expect over time a core will be the regular attendees. They will all get to know each other. They'll all talk to each other. And then twice a year we're going to have a major cocktail party where all the mentors will be invited. So we really want to make this fun and entertaining at the center of it.
Great. Moving along to the ongoing sessions, now that you're in a flow, I don't know what points can be made here. You know, the process continues working with the teams, and I would point out that part of that on the ongoing sessions is getting the proper balance for the team, whereby they, you know, are working on the things with the highest gain, and maybe not putting the time into the areas that are not, so finding the balance of the team. A lot of that comes out of the variety of the 2 or 3 mentors that are named onto the team. So it's preferable if there's a mix, so people are coming from little different vantage points. And by the way, that's how we all learn from these interactions also. Very important. Special sessions, these are like ad hoc sessions outside of the normal flow of the meeting. I participated in one myself, which was a strategic process. We went over to Accenture over in the Prudential Center, carved out a full day at the whiteboard and went through a strategic visioning process with the team. That would be outside of the normal process, but very important and powerful, and something that, if used at the right time, can really help that venture. And then finally, the phase where and we call this graduation. And we have had a few graduates of the mentoring program. We continue to make connections. Within the HSE, we have an executive committee. One of the graduates is a member of that board. And it's so powerful to have somebody on the board that was a graduate of that mentoring program. They can tell you what worked, what didn't work, and it's a very helpful thing. So I think that's where I'm going to turn it over to Chris Ford. Chris, by the way, is one of my favorite people. He's outstanding. Chris has the ability to, with a venture, to deliver a hard message, but do it with kindness, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Okay.
And actually, recently, I've just become an expert in ice dams. If you have any questions, I'm an absolute specialist in that area, too, so.
Are you good on the ladder, too?
No, I'm smart enough to get someone else to do that. So I'm going to talk about just a couple of fundamental issues, but one of the big ones coming in with meeting mentees and being a mentor is that you need to build trust. And sometimes that's easier said than done. You've got to approach this that there's no strings attached here. You're giving them unfettered, unbiased advice. It is arm's length. I think you're going to, sometimes as Roy mentioned or Joe did, you want to jump in and do it for them, and you really need to stay back, in my view and my experience, to give them the kind of advice that they, and guidance that they need. It is confidential. I mean, you'll hear stuff from mentees that, I think should not go outside the room sometimes. But the big issue is that you're trying to act in the entrepreneur's best interest. And I'll give you an example of that. We have a number of mentees that come from within the university that have university IP. And when that happens, they have to deal with the Center for Research Innovation, which is the old tech transfer office, I would call it. And Tracy Dodenhoff is the head of that. And she's a great friend of our programs and a great friend in entrepreneur issues around the university. But when a mentee is negotiating a license agreement for their own IP, you're in the position to give them guidance or counsel kind of against the university. I don't mean it's against, but you're trying to look out for the mentee. You're not looking out for the university, although it's not as black and white as that. Obviously, you want to do the right thing for everybody. And that's an important thing because I think that's one of the times. How do you build trust? I mean, you earn it. You earn it by demonstrating to the mentee that you are given straight-on advice without any baggage on it. You need to be truthful. You need to be honest with them. I've found it on the teams that I've been on, it takes time. You just don't get that trust right away. You'll find a mentee perhaps going around the mentoring team or the lead mentor. If you're the lead mentor, they may have a special relationship with you. You may talk to them off hours, and that's what a lead mentor kind of gets to do. A lead mentor kind of emerges. I mean, we were trying to pick who the lead mentor in our program sometimes, but you just can't do that. But it's just natural. Someone becomes the one that's either got a high level of interest or has a rapport with the mentee. But that's all a part of building trust. And I think Scott mentioned about sharing experiences, good and bad. And that's a good way to earn trust from someone. Say, look, let me tell you about how I screwed up one time. And those kind of things really hit home with a mentee. But then they'll understand that you're really working in their best interest. And all your experiences, I think, are real important in that. So I think the key is building trust with the mentees. Am I doing these slides or is someone doing it? Okay. Maybe I did it.
Go back one, please.
Okay, I will go back one. Let me figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about expectations. The expectation of the mentors, is to have regular meetings and an interaction with the mentees and the ventures. And that means you've got to be available. I mean, you can't show up once in a while. You need to show up. And even if that is remotely, I mean, most of our stuff is down on campus. And we found that face-to-face interaction is very important. We can scale this and do it remotely and sometimes. We do have some mentors that can't make a meeting, and we patch them in with a speakerphone or something of that nature. But you need to participate. You can't be a once-in-a-while kind of mentor. You need to show some discretion, be confidential about the information. I mean, sometimes you get personal information about some of these mentees, and you need to treat it with a bit of confidence. You will be asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and we've done that right up front with most of our programs. We're going to integrate it somehow into the V, and then we need to get a good, solid NDA that we can use university-wide. But it's important that you're not going to give away secrets that people have. As far as the entrepreneurs, though, they need to be serious. I think one of the earlier slides mentioned that they need to have serious intent and whatever. And I've counseled some mentees on occasion that they need to be respectful of the mentor's time. And these are people like you folks, like us, that take time out of your day, come over here to the university, try to find parking. I knew that would hit home with somebody. And giving you experience that, you couldn't really get anywhere else. I mean, when I started my own company, I did it with two of my long-term colleagues, and we were very experienced guys in our business, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And, I wish I had a program like this when I was on, and consequently, I made every mistake you could make. We just tried not to make them twice, but you're giving some of that up, and the entrepreneurs ought to know that you're giving them something really very important they can't get anywhere. We expect them to come prepared. Every session ends with some homework, which everybody agrees on. Usually the lead mentor needs to make sure that's happening. Oh, am I going back and forth? I'm on the schedule here. So they have homework, and we expect them to come prepared. Normally, right after a meeting, we have a summary of what went on during the meeting, and then the action items are down below. And it just keeps the flow going. The other thing we've learned also, which is important, we used to it's part of growing up, I guess, there was a theory on that you call us when you're ready for the next meeting. But we found that people drifted a little bit on that. So we now, at the end of every session, everybody's there, we pick the next date. And if we have to confirm it later, we'll do that. But that's been very important. So again, respecting people's time. If you pick a date and everybody locks into it, you can't keep changing, stuff like that. We want entrepreneurs to interact, even offline. They can do that, as I mentioned, usually with the lead mentor. We want to hear the whole story. I mean, you can feel when you're not getting the whole thing sometimes. It's a process of building trust, and you trusting them and them trusting you. And we really, on the last item, we really don't want to have people here for personal reasons, and we'll talk about conflict of interest. This is not, it's not Shark Tank. It's not, Let's Make a Deal. It's not, I'm thinking of shows here, Celebrity Apprentice or The Price is Right. But we've encountered some people that are here for other reasons. And I'll give you an example. When we had someone who came to us with legal advice, particularly IP legal advice, or an experience, and could help us through that process. And that's a big thing, as Roy pointed out from the first stage, getting your IP straightened out, getting incorporated. There's legal services that are needed, and IDEA has been wonderful of offering legal resources at the early on part of a mentee or a venture going. So we had a lawyer come in, and he joined quickly to this mentoring team, and at the time, they had not really completed their founders agreement yet. And so one of the things we discovered, which is important, that founders agreement's got to be done right up front. And I'll talk later about one of those that we ran into, which made us really focus on making sure they get the founders agreement out of the way. So this lawyer put together the founders agreement, and it was done with the mentee and the mentor on the team, and we get to look at it, and the mentor showed up in the founders agreement with 4% equity in the company out of nowhere. And so that was surprising, so he quickly was booted off the team, and that founders agreement never got signed. But that's the kind of stuff, we don't need. I mean, and you talk about building trust. I mean, the mentees are somewhat, in my view, they're not naive. As Joe mentioned, they're very smart about what they do, but they're not really smart about that common sense type of stuff. I mean, they probably get a little too trusty of everybody, but it's important that they know you're working in their interest 24/7, and you're not got other reasons around that. So you can't invest in any venture you're on the team with. That doesn't mean you can't do that, but you need to recuse yourself and step out. And we've had some people do that, and that's okay. I mean, if you really get an interest in it, and you want to get on the board and you want to go forward, you cannot be doing both things like that. You can't receive any compensation, and you need to speak up right away that if you see yourself getting a little too close. I mean, usually someone else on the team will recognize that. And we just need to be wary of that. So my last slide, if I get it in the right order here, is that most importantly, you need to keep engaged and have fun. And it's good for you to get close to the mentee and to the venture. They like to see that you're excited about what they're doing. If you really are on a team and you really like what you're doing, it comes across anyway. You get an opportunity to go to other events around the university. One of the benefits I've found is meeting folks like you. And there's a great networking capability here. And there's a number of people I know only through this program that I do things with outside of the program. And it's exciting. There's people like you, there's people like me, like Joe and like Roy, that came back to share something. That's really what I did it for. I mean, I hadn't been back on campus till Joe invited me to come over here, and I was kind of very interested in the first session I saw. Then I came to another one. Then Joe snared me, I guess. I mean, he's a Bouvet guy. I'm not a Bouvet guy. I'm not a pharmacy person. I didn't know, but it was life sciences.
Now you tell me.
Yeah, no. But I will tell you that the moment I like, and I see it happen almost all the time. We had one of Roy's recent that he's the lead mentor on. You see them either the light bulb goes on in their head, or they really make some really rateable progress, and they get a deal done. That kind of stuff. I mean, it's really rewarding to be there and see that and know that you made an impact on it. So you should have fun. You should enjoy what you're doing. I like coming on campus. It's invigorating. I sit out on that bench over there out in front of Bouvet in between sessions here and watch the traffic go by. I tell you, it really is a great feel. Actually, I told
Nobody's reported.
Actually, one day I was sitting there. I had too much time in my hands. And I was watching people go by. It was during the summer, and it was during better weather than this. And I was watching all the shoes go by. I was just looking at the different shoes people had. I'd love to do a little collage of every shoe going by. It's just unbelievable, from sandals to mountain climbing boots to whatever. But no, really, I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to get involved. We think we're going to have plenty of opportunities. We just continually in our own program keep turning up new ventures, and they come on referral basis. I mean, we don't go hunting them down. We have a couple of exciting ones going on right now. And one other thing I want to emphasize that Joe mentioned: bring a friend if you want to. I mean, some of our best participants have been through another mentor bringing someone that they wanted to get involved. And you don't have to be a Northeastern person to do that. And some of our best are not Northeastern grads. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Joe. Yeah, I'm not going to push the last slide because.
You may.
All right, there you go.
Please do.
There you go.
Okay. Stay up. We need you. Stay here.
Oh, okay. I'll stand over here.
We put together a mentoring handbook, and that's the takeaway for you. And it describes pretty much everything we did today. As you can see, we have some structure, we're looking for a commitment from mentors as well as from ventures, and it's all here in our handbook. As you can see from Roy and Chris and myself, we really love what we're doing. I want to tell a quick story. Way back in 2010, we ran an evening program, a workshop on startups, and we had stations. Chris did business planning. We had an attorney. We had an IT section. We had various sections. We met a young man, became one of our first 30-year-old engineering grad. Said, I have an idea. He was a product manager in an unrelated field. He said, I have an idea to make an electronic pillbox. And because he observed his grandparents screwing up their medication. 50% of the prescriptions in this country are taken incorrectly. And he said, I have an idea to build this thing, and I want to start a venture. And we saw something in his eyes. He was a very sincere, hardworking kid. We really thought a lot of him. The mentoring team sent him off to do a competitive analysis, and one of the mentors knew something about that industry. There were 5 of these pillboxes on the market, internet-based. None of them were really selling. They were overpriced. So he did a classic pivot and switched. He stayed in the area of medication compliance ended up taking on a partner, writing a software program, and he's raised over $500,000. He has customers, he's cash flow positive, and he has a software program that he and his partner developed for the assisted living industry, both on the medication adherence side and on the compliance side. He actually has graduated from our program. We call it a graduation. We had a 35-second ceremony.
But he's on the board.
But he's on the board. So, and he's brought his father, and it's just amazing to see his growth and his success. So that's the kind of thing that keeps us going, gets us going. Really, you got one?
Yeah, sure. I had a couple that bombed, and then I had a real success story. So I was sitting trying to think of what were the ingredients that made it success. And this was just about 3 years ago, 2.5 to 3 years ago. A faculty member came over with some patented technology, National Science Foundation funded, and about 3 or 4 students. Well, come into the mentoring program. Over the next year, 2 of the students drifted and left the thing. The faculty member got sick and died recently. And so our mentee was pretty lonely. So he was left with the company. Andros Robotics is the name of the company. And he was left with the company, and we shepherded him. The 3 of us were his mentoring team. I'm the lead mentor on it. And we worked him through it, and he brought in some industry people. He has a device for gait training, helping people walk that have had a stroke. And it's got feedback loops and a very technical product. And he knew that, but he had very little business acumen. So we helped him and shepherded him. We got him through the university IP licensing issues. And he brought a company in from the West Coast, and he had a company on Long Island. I personally went to Long Island with him because I found that he's a young guy alone. Just have another person in the room, even if I don't. I'm from Northeastern, and I'm here with Majik. It gave him a boost. He went on. He fell on his sword, by the way, down there. He made some terrible errors, and almost lost the deal. But Joe and I think Chris especially helped him recover from it. And we come back, and he got ink on paper, got $30,000 seed money from the company. We'll have some follow-on work, and they'll be embedding his device into the next assisted walker. So it's a positive story. I think one of the key ingredients was this guy's attitude. He had a great attitude all the way along. He was very teachable. So, we'd give him some coaching, and he'd go off and he'd do it. He was very proactive, as we said. He'd come in with an agenda. So I think his attitude and willingness, he really had the spirit to make it go, and I would credit him for that, for the most of it. That's my story.
Thank you, Roy.
So I'm going to tell you a story. This is a founders agreement story. But just one thing that Roy mentioned, it struck something with me. Not everybody is mentorable, and not everybody is ready to be mentored. So, we do have some that they do specially mentored, do one-off type stuff, but some people just can't be mentored. But this story is about a founders agreement. This kind of raised our concern, and this was a faculty member here who had some great technology. I won't get too into it, and who had a post-grad doctoral student as part of the founding team. And they seemed to get along quite well, and Roy was on this team. And as things got along, and we were making great progress, and we had a great mentoring team too. It was really a very great combination. And we thought this technology had huge potential. And then we noticed in the meeting one day, almost through body language, that there didn't seem to be a connection there. And we had asked them about the founders agreement. They said, oh yeah, we've worked it out, we've talked about it, yeah. At that point, we weren't insisting that a founders agreement be signed. We do now. And we kind of let it go, and then amongst the team offline, we talked, geez, did you see how so-and-so acted during the meeting, and they even sat away from each other. And so we scratched the surface a little bit, and lo and behold, they really were having a problem about who was getting what on the founders agreement. So the way we handled that was, and I elected that I would talk to them individually. So I sat down and had coffee with the faculty member, and we talked about the founders agreement, and I gave my opinion on what ought to go into, how equity ought to be dealt with, and what basically, what have you brought up to this point into the venture? What will your role be going forward? And you try to gauge the value of that. And being an IP lawyer, by the way, and carving yourself into an agreement like that is not really what you're bringing value for. In fact, I think one of our other mentors put it best. He said, look, IP advice and lawyer advice, you can go buy that. What is this person really going to bring long-term to the program here? Just because they can put something down on a piece of paper for you right now, I mean, and then what do? So why would you give them founding equity? So I met with each one of them individually. So I met with the faculty member, and the faculty member thought the share for that person, for themselves, was 75% of the founding equity, and that the post-grad doctoral student ought to get 25%. So I got the reasons why that was the feeling about it, and I said, well, have you thought about this? Again, we're not here to make judgments. We're not here to tell people what to do. We're here to make them better entrepreneurs. And this is a teachable moment to me. I mean, this is real life. So then I met with the postdoc student, and lo and behold, he thought he should get 75%, and the faculty 70. So I said, you're talking about light bulbs going on. I said, we have a problem here. And it was irreconcilable. Even though we tried to really, and I actually, eventually, when I saw it wasn't going to happen, I kind of told the postdoc student, I said, I think you overplayed your hand here a little bit, but that's my opinion. Okay, I just thought he needed to hear that. But net, that thing failed and it fizzled. And the person still got the technology and probably has missed the opportunity now, all because of that. So that was I think one of the things Joe mentioned is that we've been trying to improve the program as we go along. The founders agreement is a huge one. I mean, it's pretty tough to try to put a value on your participation into a venture, but that's basically what you're doing. And you got to be honest, and you got to treat the other person with respect. And this is really, I mean, it's not. I guess it's a little bit more difficult than a marriage. I guess you can get out of a marriage, but when you're in an equity situation, it's a little difficult. I don't know if I said that right, but you know what I mean by that. But and the other one, the one that Joe mentioned that actually has been successful, and the one with the pillbox and that kind of thing. By the way, when he did the competitive analysis, I just remember the day he came in the room. We said, all right, go do a competitive analysis. And he came in and he goes, you wouldn't believe how many of these things are out on the market. I thought he was, I thought that was it. He was gone. But he pivoted and he found a niche. I mean, that was great to see. I think that, you try to, the founders agreement got to be such an issue, I think, that people were putting it off. It's one of those things that you put off. It's one of those you don't, like in my career, I learned that, dealing with people is really something you really need to put a lot of time in. A lot of it comes from within, but you got to be honest with people. If they're not cutting it, they're not cutting it, okay? People avoid those kind of conversations. The founders agreement is one of those. Even though they said they worked it out, it's on a napkin somewhere or something, you know what I mean? They haven't really vetted it out. And it's not our role to really whack up the equity, if you will, but it's our role to make sure they do it somehow. We've actually had some legal help to try to put some focus on that and talk about it. On one of our lead mentor calls, we use it as a special discussion item that we went over and shared our experiences in that whole thing. So that's the example I wanted to give you about how here's a great opportunity, great technology, and it fizzled just because they couldn't get it together. And one other thing, I'll finish on that. I think it was mentioned a little bit earlier. One thing Roy mentioned this. One of the things we're seeing as we get more mature ventures is they get to the point where they've got the structure in place, the technology, I mean, they've done all the things, and they need somewhere a business development type person to take them out next, because they can't. They're good at the technology. They're really not a BD type person. that's the biggest hole we probably have right now, finding good business development people that want to come in and join a team and help them launch what they're doing and come out of the university. So if you have people like that, and they can get in, and there's still room for founders' equity at that point, or some kind of equity for someone that can provide that. So if you know any business development kind of people that are looking for an opportunity, could be someone who's in a job that wants to do something, to move out of their current job and move into an entity like that. Those are good referrals that we'll take. So that's it, Joe.
Chris, just press the button for the next one.
Another button. Okay.
The upcoming schedule, Thursday, March 19th, there'll be a mentoring luncheon where Dan will have, 4 or 5 ventures presented?
I think we'll have probably 6.
6?
Because the first lunch, which I think many of you, or most of you came to, we had a lot of fanfare at the outset of that. So we're going to add a couple of more ventures to that.
And
12:30 to 2:30 on both of these will be at that time, March and May event. And we'll have a half hour of networking on either end. So just 1 to 2 will be the main event.
The meat.
Yes.
And Dan keeps promising us a party. He keeps telling us there's going to be a party.
TBD.
Yes,
absolutely.
so we're going to send tomorrow, watch your inboxes for the official invitation to the March event. Communicating the date, but I'll have all the details in there tomorrow will go out. And the rest also will be communicating the different dates as they're added to the calendar.
As you can see, a lot of friends have been made around these programs and things that have happened here at Northeastern. Do we have some time for questions? Yes, Scott.
Just out of curiosity, have you guys thought about possibly putting together a list of all the mentors with email addresses and maybe a short synopsis of their skills or summary, maybe a LinkedIn group? I don't know, but it would be great to maybe take a look, in case you need some help or what other people have done.
Yeah, we don't want you to be in this we don't think you should be in this program and be anonymous, so we're with you on that. And we have done some of that in the past, but we need to bring it to the next level and get a little vitae on folks and make it available.
Yeah.
So Lauren, what are you doing this afternoon?
Considering kind of this first few months of the Venture Mentoring Network are pilot phase, and so we're putting these systems in place. So we're using some different technology to make that available, and we want to list all our mentors on the website with their photo and title, and then also create a community where all of our mentors can network. Obviously we want these bi-monthly lunches and these social gatherings, but somewhere virtually that you can still interact and draw on one another's expertise and just connect offline or online.
We have had mentors invite other mentors to join their board of directors at a public company because of their experiences and getting to know them here.
Just one point on that,
Right.
Scott. We did a survey of actually Roy did it with another one of our, did a great job, went back retroactively and talked to all the mentees, even the ones that had left, and we talked to them all and got some great results out of it. One was they wanted to see what kind of other mentor capabilities there were out there, which is a great idea. We don't want mentees shopping, you know what I mean, for people, because that's not the way it works. But not a bad idea. The other thing came out is they wanted to have access to other mentees. And that was even a better idea because, I guess it's like kids, kids learn better from their siblings than they do from their parents. Mentees, we've seen a number of mentees come together at an event, and I see them talking, and I say, that's terrific that those two are talking, and they really learn, and then you find out, I was talking to Richard, and he told me, by the way, he went through this, and, it helps them up quite a bit. So that kind of sharing of information does work out very well. Good suggestion.
Any questions, comments, views, anything else we can help you with? As you can see, we love what we do. Yes?
Where do most of the mentees find out about this? I mean, if they're a student, they're here, but let's say I had an idea and I wanted to be in a mentee.
I'm going to let Julie's done all that work for us. How do we get the word out, Julie?
So internally, HSE has been around for 10 years, so in the mentoring program in the last 4 years. So it's word of mouth now, really, internally. We get a lot of referrals from IDEA, where IDEA has ventures in health sciences, and at HSE we deal with health science ventures. We don't deal with t-shirt companies or popcorn companies. We deal with health sciences. So, and we've had a lot of referrals from the tech transfer office, alumni here through, we have email blasts, we do vital signs, website, Twitter, we're talking, we're trying to get the word out. You know, if somebody comes online and checks our website, they'll find information about this, but, you know, we always want to get more and more and more, so.
Julie, we typically do 3 or 4 alumni events, evening events a year, programs of a topic of interest. You know, we've, Affordable Care Act, we beat up pretty good with a panel of experts, workshops, as we mentioned earlier, and we do an email blast to, as the university gives us the mailing list appropriately, we blast out, and we met a lot of people. That's really one of our marketing tools.
So, speaking from a university-wide perspective, IDEA attracts ventures almost equally from across campus, and over half of our ventures are alumni ventures. And so there is a lot of buzz going on about the entrepreneurial resources that are available on campus here. So we actually have a challenge of too many mentees, and that is why I get little jabs sometimes from Joe and from Chris, because I worry a lot about scaling this so that we can manage the demand that is already here. Because we don't, and we also don't want to throw a lot of early stage ventures at the mentor group. We want them to be at an adequate level of maturity, and so it's not that we're you know, resisting promoting, particularly explicitly to alums. You know, we have an alumni boot camp where alums who are starting ventures can come in and take 6 boot camps and learn about entrepreneurship in the classroom, and then move into IDEA or health science entrepreneurs if they're in the health sciences field. So there is outreach, but we're concerned. I'm concerned about meeting demand.
Dan, how many ventures do you have right now that aren't early stage and that are ready for mentors?
So
you're at that point.
we probably have 40 ventures currently in our portfolio that are ready for mentors or have mentors already, because we're sort of moving our mentoring up. And we have an informal, we also launch ventures too, and it's sort of an informal graduation process, but we believe that one of the things you do as you move through any of the programs on campus as a venture is you're developing your network, and while there may be launching and graduations, you've made relationships that you will carry forward always. So there's a constant turnover, but at any one point in time we have about 120 to 150 ventures, many of them very early stage, but a lot, you know, a growing number are quite serious and mature.
I just make a comment on top of that, Kim. I think that, you know, as this becomes more successful and becomes university-wide, I think it's part of the goal is awareness, obviously.
Yeah.
And whether that's through, you know, articles that are published about successful mentees and stuff like that. But in turn, we actually survey at every event, how do you find out about us? And what do you get out of that? It's the email blast that you put out. A friend of mine told me about it. My professor suggested I go to this. You know. So we can probably, I mean, Dan's afraid of our business, but he's got to get over that. You know, it's like one time years ago, someone said to me, who worked for me, don't we make enough money already? I said, let me tell you something, buddy. Don't ever mention that again. Okay?
Is it Bob? Dave.
Thanks. I wanted to ask, does the program welcome ventures that cross over from another university? For example, I was involved briefly with a venture that started at Brandeis, and they utilized the resources and the mentors and even gap funding that Brandeis provided. And when that well ran dry, they had a founder who attended Northeastern, and so they came here. But it didn't get started here, so I'm viewing it as some kind of crossover.
We welcome ventures to join the curve, even in phase 3, and perhaps there's a phase 4 coming. So if you've got a venture that has had significant development work, and there's a Northeastern alum involved, welcome. we're very,
Yeah, the
very.
tie goes back to a Northeastern founder.
Yeah, you have a Northeastern founder, we'll help, and we look forward, and Dan and I have talked about this a bunch, we look forward to getting more mature ventures into our program, so that we can help them, absolutely.
So we have resources like an investor network, and we're actually have blueprints to start an angel fund that will be managed outside of the university by a third party. But alums and friends of the university who want to support the ecosystem here can actually put money in there. As long as there's a founder from Northeastern on the team, they can purchase from all of those resources. And one of the things that's happened in the last 2 or 3 years is there's a much higher level of cooperation amongst all of the resources. So while we're not, we're still a university and we're not completely organized, we're doing our best and we're doing much better than we were.
And we're going to beat BU next year.
Again.
I just got my voice back.
It was an exciting game.
Oh my God.
Such an exciting game.
It was unbelievable. Yeah. Well, Chris Ford was across the way. I could hear him from the other side of the arena.
Crying.
I was watching it on my couch and I heard Chris Ford.
Oh my God. I felt like I was shot. But it was unbelievable. Well, I think we had, thank you so much.
One final question, Joe. Do you know when the snow is going to break? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. It'll be gone in days once it gets to be 70.
A couple of days is good.
Thanks, folks. We
Okay,
enjoy it.
thank you.
Please work with us. We'd love to have you.